What if I told you you can make over 4% interest back on your money and the banks aren't telling you that? Well, I'm going to dive in today and tell you about 5 CD accounts. I did the research and we're going to look at what are the top 5 accounts right now that you can snatch and secure those high interest rates. So on this channel, I have been talking about CDs, I've been talking about HYSA, so high yield savings account, certificates of deposits. And so just a refresher, a certificate of deposit is essentially an account where you put your money in and you leave it for a duration. That duration we call the maturity period. And this may be maybe 3 months, 6 months, 12 months, 18 months, 3 years, 5 years, so on and so forth. But what the great thing about this is, as most of you may know, if you leave your money in a regular bank account, you get 0.00001% back on your money. But if you leave your money in, let's say, a CD or HYSA, you'll get way more, i.e., over 4% back on your money. Now, while this is not, the rate that you may or may not get in the stock market, it's not a bad rate since inflation is supposedly around 2%. Your money is beating inflation, and that is the goal. So I'm going to show you or go over the 5 accounts, and then we're going to look at all of them together. We're going to look at the different rates, what the maturity rate is that's giving you that, high interest rate, because you'll be very surprised what we find. I was shocked. So I think you will be shocked too. So let's dive in. And so I'm going to list them in the order that I found them. But as I always say, these are going to be in an order specific to you and what you plan to do with your money, right? So the first one is the LendingClub. Now, I had just learned about the LendingClub last year, but it's really a pretty interesting bank when you look at it. But I'll let you be the judge for yourself once we start looking at it. The next one is going to be the Prime Alliance Bank. I've never heard of this one before my research, honestly. I've never heard of this one either. Number 3 would be Limelight. Now, I don't know, but okay, we're going to look at them. Limelight Bank. If you're me or like me, I'm looking for the best rate for my money, but I also need to have some reputation going for the bank, but we'll look it up, okay? So Marcus by Goldman Sachs. Okay. And then the last one is this bank must be doing something right, because it also popped up on our video or in our research when we were looking at our HYSAs, right? So just, a quick overview, right? So the first bank is the LendingClub, or the first CD account is the LendingClub. Then you have Prime Alliance, Limelight Bank, Marcus by Goldman Sachs, and Synchrony Bank. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to share my screen with all of these banks. So I'm going to start with the LendingClub. And so, or maybe I'll go backwards, right? So let's start with, kind of showed you, right, already. Oh, Synchrony Bank. So Synchrony Bank, but one of the things that I noticed is each of these banks, they have a, what do you call it now? Some of them have your minimum deposits that you have to make, and some of them don't. So that is why I say it's going to be totally up to you when you look at it, what's going to be the best bang for your buck or give you the best bang for your buck. So Synchrony Bank, I can say that they're a reputable bank and they're probably known by most. So I don't know if that gives a thumbs up or not. And so here we see that, of course, it's above 4%. It's higher than my current HYSA. And so 6 months, no minimum payments. Now, this is good. 6 months, you get your money back quick. So that's why I said if it is a case whereby there's, let's say you have a plan for your money. You have a lump sum of money, you have a plan for it, and you want to get it back quickly. You can do 6 months, or you can use that CD ladder that I discussed previously. You could do one for 6 months, then 12 months or so forth. But right now we're seeing 6 months. But you can also look at the other months to kind of, do your research. If you do 15 months, it's 4.05. Now, this is interesting. This is why I say what we found when we did the research, or what I found when I did the research, was very interesting, because traditionally, the longer time that you keep your money in the CDs are the better rates that you get. But what do you see here? 6 months have a higher rate. You get a 4.10%, right? For 6 months. And then for 15 months, you get 4.05. This is still good, but I'm just really shocked. And I've been seeing that lately. I don't know. And you see the 12 months, actually, we can go through here. 3 months. Okay, we're not doing that. 6 months is 4.10. 9 months is 4. 12 months is also 4. 18 months, you see, it's not getting higher. So I don't know. Maybe they're trying to make it more appealing to people, because people don't want to keep their money out that long. So that's Synchrony Bank. And the beauty of Synchrony Bank is you don't have to make any minimum payment. So count me in. Because you might have like $500 and you just want to see, what to do. All right. So coming up, so that was number 5. So number 4 is Marcus by Goldman Sachs. So this is also a reputable bank. Now, the difference here, though, there is a minimum. You have to put $500 in that account within 10 days of opening. Oh, this looks like it's going to expire December 17th. And let's bring it up a little bit here. Okay, 4.1. So it's the same as we saw, but here, Goldman Sachs, Marcus by Goldman Sachs, they're requiring you to keep your money in for 14 months. So I don't know. You have a minimum payment that you have to make. So maybe this is number 5. It's up to you. So I might have to rank these for myself. So 4.10, but you have a 14-month term. But you know what? Sometimes the longer terms are good, because I heard through the grapevine, I was doing some readings today, and interest rates are supposed to drop. So if you can lock in these interest rates now, when the interest rates drop in the future, you are still reaping the benefit of these high interest rates that you have now. So as opposed to if it were a 6 months rate, then in 6 months, if the interest rate did indeed fall, you would lose out on the high rate. So the longer time period has its good and bad. So if you have a good chunk of money, I would split it up, do that CD ladder so you can take advantage of all of the rates. So 14 months, 4.10, but you do need to have $500 to start. I don't know that they showed us any other accounts. So I guess they're just pushing that for now. Okay, so that's Marcus. All right. And then number 3 coming on up is Limelight Bank. Now, this bank, I've never really heard of them, If you've heard of them, drop it in the comments. If you bank with Limelight Bank, let me know in the comments. Never heard of them. I don't even know where they're based out of. But hey, they have what's their rate? Okay. Oh, 4.15. All right. That's a little bit higher than the 4.10, and it's for 6 months. Okay. But you do have to have a minimum of $1,000. So, there's some pros and cons that you got to weigh. So that's why it's going to be dependent on your pockets or your goals. If you do a 12-month CD, you get a 4.05. Not bad. You're still locking in a good rate. But I wouldn't. I would just do a ladder with this. I would do the 6 months and then the 12 months. And their high yields is 4%. That's not bad. So they're making the CDs more attractive than their high yields. I've also seen where some banks, the high yields are actually better than the CDs. So this is interesting. This is very interesting. So, okay, Limelight, we're looking good. The only caveat here is you have to have a minimum of $1,000. So if you have that, then voila for you. Okay. All right. So that's Lime Bank. Now coming up was the Prime Alliance, but again, I'm not really familiar with them. Yeah, I've never heard of Prime Alliance Bank, but let's see. Okay, we do have to have a minimum of 500 here, and our APY is 4.2. So just to kind of point out here, when you see the rate here is telling you what the rate is overall. Let's say, however times it's compounded. I don't know if you saw in the previous video, we want to see compounded more often than less. And so when it's compounded, but at the end, you really are getting 4.2% back on your money, which is good. 4.2%. Wow. All right. So that's high. And a minimum balance of 500, and then it's six months. And so I think I get it. Why now we're getting a shorter term, because I was trying to figure it out. Why is it a shorter term when, oh wow. So the banks, they don't want to have to pay you such a high interest rate when rates drop. So they're making it more appealing for you to do shorter time span, right? Like 6 months or so that if interest rates do fall, they can honor that in their institution. All right, then. I see that. Okay. Well, it makes sense. Now it makes sense. Okay. Thank you, Jesus. The Holy Spirit just dropped that on me. All right. So then, if you do 12 months, it's still not a bad deal because you get 6 months, 12 months, and 18 months. Doesn't look bad. So if I were to do a CD ladder, maybe I'll just stick with them. But I would have to do some more research to figure out who is back in the, okay. They're back right at the FDIC. Righty? Okay. So maybe they're about something. No, if they're backed by the FDIC, that means that they're about something. Okay, then. Prime Alliance looking really attractive here. 4.12. Okay. All right. And then coming in at number 1, we had the LendingClub. Now, the LendingClub is an interesting bank. I've had a not so good experience with them before, but I'm not gonna let that stop me from telling you all about them. So, okay, 4.25. Now, 4.25, but you have to have it for 8 months. Not bad. That's actually a good in between 6 months and a year. Next month is 3.9. So I guess the best bet is gonna be 8 months. For a year, it's really low. So they don't want to hold you all. If they're giving it for a year, they're like, well, if interest rates fall, I'm just going to try to be close to that. So I guess I would honor those things, and it would be better. All right. So LendingClub, are they backed by the FDIC? Oh, up to 250K. Well, I guess they are. So okay, LendingClub. So those are our banks, right? So if we are to go through each of them, right? And, like I mentioned before, it's going to be totally up to you what your plan is for your money. So if it's a short-term deal, right? And you want your money quick, then you're going to go with the 6 month. Which one is that? Let me pull that back up here, because actually that was 2 of them. 2 of them wanted 6 months. It was Synchrony Bank and Prime Alliance. 6 months gave you the higher interest rate. But if you want to keep your money for a little bit, Marcus is giving you a great 4.1 deal for 14 months, which is not bad. And LendingClub is giving you an awesome rate of 4.25 for 8 months. Now, I didn't see that there was a minimum for LendingClub. Let me see. Was there a minimum? I didn't see it. But we got to read the fine print. But everybody except for the Synchrony Bank wanted a minimum balance of either 500 or 1,000. I believe Limelight wanted 1,000. So yeah, it depends. So if you have more than $1,000, then you could rank them then based on your interest rate, right? If the minimum balance has nothing to phase you, or you're good with that, you could just do the one that's higher, the rates that's higher. But if you don't have that much money sitting around and you just want to really get started, then the ones that don't have minimum balance may have a better bet for you. So I hope this was helpful. If you're interested in learning about the best HYSAs for fall out, because you would be surprised there too what you find. But I hope this was helpful. Do like, share, and subscribe. And if there's anybody who you are wanting to build wealth with, do send this video to them, because this is one of the best ways that doesn't have you thinking about how to buy stocks in the stock market, flipping houses or whatever in real estate. You can get a guaranteed above 4% back on your money, just having it sit. And it is to bridge the wealth gap, and I do that by sharing knowledge. So do share it with someone you know. Until next time.